Elen Silalumen Amentielvo, a star shines on the hour of our meeting. Hello friends, I'm Narelon Starfire, pronouns he, him. Welcome to the stream. It's Tuesday, which is of course Minecraft Day. And always has been. Even though it didn't used to be. But it always has been. With me is friend of the channel, Lumisophalen, pronouns Zem.
Hello everybody, hope you're all doing good.
How is everyone today? Hope you're alright. I don't know why I always like to start on the main menu screen of Minecraft. Like, I always do it. And I'm sure there must be a reason that I do it, but I don't know what it is. Or if I did know, I've long since forgotten it. Yeah, I hope everybody's Tuesday is, you know, as good as a Tuesday can reasonably be. That's been fine. Hi, B-Rat. Hi, Miki. How's it going? It's a Nando's and a Loom Loom. Oh, hi, Miki. Good to see you. Are we having a good day today? Platforms. That's what I need to do. I need to do platforms. Don't I? Yeah, hope you're alright as well, B-Rat. Are we having a good day today? I'm good, thanks. How are you, Nando's? I'm fine, thank you. I'm fine. Can't complain, because who'd listen? But no, I'm fine, actually. Good to see you, Miki. Hope things are going well for you. Oh. I heard the noise of an impact. Was that you? It was you.
Yeah, it was me.
Where did you fall from?
I just sort of jumped down the stairs.
Ah, okay. Have you two been affected by the our journey to the end?
Yeah. Took a while to develop.
Yeah, of course, yeah. That, you know, it's understandable. But yeah, I hope everyone's alright today. It's, you know. I don't think I've got anything dramatic to report. I've been to work. I've been back in the office. Which is, you know, I'm going to try to work at home. Like, it's better in every way. Like, it's just better in every way. Okay, now I fell off the stairs. It's been so long I forgot what the last dramatic news was that I shared with you. Yeah, I can't remember now, Miki, actually. Unless Loomis does.
I'm not sure.
No, yeah, this needs coming down. This is all wrong. Yeah, I can't think, Miki. It's been a while. I know at some point you had a new job. I remember that bit. But I don't know if that was like the last thing or things before that. I'm alright. Government is releasing relief funds for the flood damage, and there's an app to connect people who need help with people who want to offer help. I might go help some folks this weekend. Oh, that's really good, B-Rat. That's like a really good government thing and a good thing for you to do, yeah. What was I doing? Oh yeah, harvest first, then buy glass, then deploy glass, then build platforms. I need to actually build platforms so people can actually get on and off the transit tube. That's probably a thing that's useful. People need to be able to transit in the transit tube. I got another position at work. Oh, very nice, Mickey. That's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I thought that's better for you. And more money, I hope. In the capitalist society we're in. But yeah, working from home is just better. Like, I'm hard pressed to think of things that are worse about working from home.
Yeah.
Save money, you know, because I don't have to like, you know, I can just have a shower in the morning. I don't have to like have a shower when I get home from work. So it saves time. I don't have to travel anywhere. Saves petrol, helps the environment. You know, and you know, saves me money again because I'm not spending on petrol. I can just have like a relaxing dinner time, even though it's like the same amount of time. I can just do it in my house, which is better. You know, I can be more flexible in when I start and finish, so I don't have to worry about getting there, making sure there's a car parking space or anything like that. And if I need to work a bit later, I can, because I can just like put my tea on while I'm working and then just have it when it's done. Yeah. Also, I don't have to like interact with anyone. But, saving the best till last. Just don't have to. Just work at home. I don't have to deal with anyone else. That's lovely.
Yeah.
This time in my field of qualifications. Oh, that's brilliant, Miki. I'm glad about that.
It's rare game.
Mm.
I feel like I don't know anybody else who is actually working in their field of qualifications.
Yeah. Yeah, there's not many of us, is there? I mean, Azimuth stop it. Trying being chased by someone trying to steal the goods I'm harvesting.
Yeah, if you count like
He re-qualified.
requalifying as- yeah. I mean, arguably you did too.
Oh, that's
For
true.
going that route.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Yeah.
With
Yeah.
original qualifications, I don't know anybody who works in their actual field.
No. No, I don't either. Yes, I live for antisocial interactions. Exactly, Vicky. Like, I know there's people at work who are, like, oh, it's great to see you. It must be awful to, like, not have contact with anybody else. I'm like, really? I don't mind at all. I think if I never saw anyone else, then yes, it probably would get to you. Like, if I like worked from home and never interacted with anyone, then sure, I suppose it would get to even me.
Yeah.
Because like the early bits of COVID in 2020, the first lockdown, before they decided that actually people who live on their own should be allowed some social contact by doing the support bubbles. Before they did that was, yeah, it got to me a bit. But then again, I was also coding nothing but people who died, so that was also that was also a factor.
Yeah.
Like, it's not great, honestly. Like, deceased are bad enough to code anyway, because it's grim, right? And like, yeah, most of the time it's just like an old person who dies of old age. Basically, if health problems related to old age, so like it's sad enough, but it's not like a big deal. But then every so often you just get like young people dying. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's rough. And some of it, I mean, it just sticks with you. I mean, I'll say no more.
I got a lot of similar things back when I was working in complaints.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not fun, is it? No. I'm qualified as an electrician and a programmer, and I work as a programmer. Okay, so yeah, B-Rats in his field. I didn't know you were also qualified as an electrician, B. I knew you were a programmer. I didn't know you were qualified as a Sparky as well. I know a couple of people who I've known a couple of electricians, but like one of them was like an industrial electrician. Like he used to do it down pit and coal mines, which is a very different proposition, I imagine, to domestic. Because I bet there's a lot of water down pits, isn't there? That's got to factor into your electronics. I doubt I could actually do wiring up to code now. I'm more technically qualified, but not in practice. Never worked as one. Fair enough.
Yeah.
See, I didn't think I'd ever heard you in. What's that pig doing? Never mind. Yeah, I didn't think I'd ever heard you in cell chatting trades. Be right. Electronics always spooked me a bit. I always felt like there's a lot that could go wrong. When we did electronics at school. I mean, did you do it at school? I'm sure you did. I know we went to different secondary schools.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. And like, yeah, you're doing stuff powered by like batteries or whatever, so it's not like a big deal. But still, I didn't like it. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
I made like a fuse tester.
Yeah. Yeah, we made a hygronemometer as well, which is quite fun. However you pronounce it, which is the thing that measures the dampness of stuff. It's quite fun, yeah, I do one of those. But yeah, I didn't like it. I didn't like soldering. That felt like something that could go wrong at any minute.
Yeah.
Also, like,
yeah, I think I burned myself a couple of times.
Yeah, I didn't want to do that. Also, like, solder's poisonous, right? Yeah, just put it there. The solder is poisonous, and there was like, if you use solder because it's got lead in it, you got to wash your hands properly afterwards. But like our school didn't have soap, so you can't really do that.
Yeah.
So I guess you got to rinse them under the tap enough, right? and hope so. Yeah, I didn't care for it. Like DC circuits, those are fun to me. Did a lot of logic circuits before they let us do any embedded programming, and then moved on to desktop programming from that. Oh, that's cool. That makes sense too. Actually, that's like a very natural progression, isn't it? But yeah, just simple stuff like that. Like I find the idea intriguing, like how it all works, but the practice always spooked me. So yeah, I never did much of that. I said my tech teacher once. I've told the story before. My tech teacher desperately wants me to do electronics at GCSE, but I wouldn't do it.
It might have been the craft that I hated least at school.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Mm-mm.
See, I liked resistant materials. That was always the thing I really enjoyed. I remember having had to pair up and build mux demux circuits. I don't know what they are, B-Rep. Please explain more if you don't mind. I don't know what that means. It's beyond my knowledge. I know that if you get electrocuted with DC current, it just holds you in place. It doesn't throw you around like AC because there's no alternating, right? It just locks you in place, and basically you die.
Yeah, I remember the thing where, like, if you're in a darkened building, like, after an earthquake or something. I don't know why I was taught this at school, because I don't know that it's relevant to any situation we should be in, but...
Get it! Hey, get it!
If you're wandering around like an earthquake damaged building or what have you, you should use the back of your hand to feel for things. Because if you brush against an exposed electric cable, the electricity will cause your hand to clamp shut. And you don't want it to clamp shut around the cable.
That's good advice.
It is good advice. I don't know why our schools taught it. We don't normally do that.
Yeah. Also, like, it's the UK, right? We don't have many earthquakes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying we don't have none, we do have some, but like we don't have many.
Like if you're a firefighter or something, it's very useful.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know what percentage of us went on to become firefighters.
Like some, right? Like,
yeah.
maybe that's enough. Multiplexers / data line selectors, so you can go from parallel data to serial, basically. Oh, thank you, Buren. If you gave me enough logic gates, I could probably still build a working CPU with enough time. Oh, that's very cool. I do find it really cool, stuff like that. And even like really basic stuff, like back in the 90s when my dad upgraded our Acorn Archimedes from RISC-OS 2 to RISC-OS 3 by just like opening it up and swapping some stuff around inside. Like changing some chips and stuff. I always thought that was really cool. Yep. Probably need more. Excuse me. No, you don't sell glass. I have no need for you. Yeah. Excellent. But yeah, when I was unemployed, I decided to look into doing some like volunteering at places to like get some work experience type stuff. Might look good on the old CV. So I thought I'd do that. And one of the places I went to was a tramway, like a preserved tramway, because that sounded fun. Also, they were like recruiting for volunteers. Sorry.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense because, like, for my interest, it'll make sense because it's like me.
Your interest, yeah. Oh, shoot. I've just made like 300 stairs of the wrong material.
Oh no, you hate to see it. That's rough. But yeah, so I looked at this, preserved tram line, so that'll be quite fun. And like obviously they like take you out on a ride on the line, and they get you to like do some stuff that you'd be doing if you were working as a conductor on a tram, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
You got to do the thing that you do when you set off, which is quite fun. Which is where you because obviously like as a conductor you're the one like checking people's tickets when they get on, right?
Yeah.
So when you like make sure you're responsible for the passengers, so you like once you know everybody's like on and safe and everything, you get to yell "Hold tight, please," and then you press the bell that lets the driver know to set off. That was really fun. I love doing that. Just doing the "Hold tight, please," ding ding, and then the tram driver answers back with a little ding of their own, like an acknowledgement, and then off they go. It's very fun. That was cool. And also, like, obviously they've got to park trams, right? You got to stable them and whatever. So you had to practice like counting them in, because you don't just like go keep going, because obviously trams take time to stop. So you have to like count them down, like estimate the distance, and be like 10 foot, 8, 7, whatever. So because then they know when to stop. You're not like telling them to stop. Yeah. And the driver's going to know how they can get it to stop on time. Right? Yeah, that's pretty cool. What put me off though was they like you're responsible for the passengers, which is fine, it's what I expected. So like if somebody is sick on the tram, you're the one who has to clean it up, and I thought I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
So no, I didn't do it. I have a friend who works as a train conductor. She quite likes the job. It's something that always appealed to me. I quite like the idea of being a conductor or a guard like that. That's quite fun. They didn't do work experience though. And like all the jobs that were going needed you to have basically already done the job. So
yeah,
I couldn't do it. Sounded fun though. But the thing they did tell me, which is relevant to the whole conversation eventually, is about what to do in the event the tram derails. Because obviously they're old trams, right? They use DC current. To be honest, modern trams might use DC current. I actually don't know. I could just be like making stuff up there. But yeah, so they use DC current. Which is like Victorians loved that, didn't they?
Yeah.
Is it easier to do or something? I don't know. They did it a lot. I know it can't hold its current as long as AC. Right? That's the thing.
Yeah. I think it was considered to be safer, but was also more expensive. So
Sure. The line must go up. I know how it is. So yeah, they said if the tram derails, obviously it's got the trolley pole at the top. Some of them have a pantograph, which is the more modern thing, but because it's a preserved tramway, it's got they'll have the old trolley poles. If the tram derails, the entire tram becomes live because the rails actually earth it. So if it derails, it breaks it kind of breaks the circuit, and thereby the whole tram becomes live. I was like, well, that's very dangerous.
Yeah.
And so in the event that the tram derails and the whole tram becomes live, it's your job to, get off the tram, but don't touch anything. You got to go and stand on the platform. The end of the place where you get on and off those old trams at each end is the platform. You got to go to the platform and jump off because you can't risk touching the steps or anything. Jump off. Don't touch anything. You know how all the and the kind of the briefing is like on the tram. You know how all the fixtures on the tram are made of brass. Well, yeah, don't touch any of them because they'll all be live. Like, don't touch the grab handles. There's that big pole at the middle of the door to let you get on and off. Don't touch it because it'll be live. Don't touch any of the handles, any of the controls. They're all live. So don't touch any of them. Just dive off, and then pull the trolley pole off the line, because there's like a rope attached to the trolley pole, so you can do it. Right? That's the thing. Just take the trolley pole off the other line, and then it'll be perfectly safe. That's terrifying about the tram. Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, it's DC current, so if you do touch anything, it'll just lock you in place and keep electrocuting you. Like, it won't throw you clear, it'll just hold you. So don't touch anything. Okay, thanks. DC current is much harder to transmit long distances unless it's ridiculously high voltage. I think that's why some very long power lines actually use DC instead of AC. So if it's a really high voltage, you can use DC more easily. Interesting. But yeah, so that was like that's when I learned about DC current actually. That's when and how. Like it makes sense, but it's also terrifying. So.
Yeah.
That isn't actually the thing that put me off. It was I didn't want to have to clean up vomit. That was pretty much exclusively what put me off.
Yeah.
I just don't want to do that every time. I'll pass. Took 2 lots of them actually. That's probably fine. Yeah, that's probably fine. Oh, I'll need me scaffolding, won't I? And I'll need stairs. I'm putting the stations in. Every time.
So I'm working on the roof of the light temple, and I'm just looking down, and I see an Enderman wander in, take one of the torches, and just walk around with it.
I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah. Yeah, he swiped a torch.
Huh. I genuinely didn't know Enderman could do that. I mean, that's cool, but it's also troubling.
Yeah.
We kind of need them to stay where they are. For safety purposes. Otherwise, like, terrible things could happen. Like the opening of the railway. Who remembers the opening of the railway? And admittedly, that was nothing to do with torches getting moved. That was just not putting torches down. Which is,
Yeah, that was a thing. The festivities were interrupted by the hordes of undead and forces of the damned.
It happens sometimes, I guess.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. Can't be able to. Okay, so platforms still only need to be 5 long. I don't think we need to go any longer than that. But I need to do. Anyway, old trams are still cool, even if they're frightening. Like, don't let the possibility of DC related electrocution put you off. Damn it. They're still pretty cool.
Oh, there's a villager visiting the temple as well.
Huh.
Yeah, that's nice.
Let's coming together. So they are expanding out more and more, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely.
Did you see what the Enderman did with the torch, by the way? Like, because they just leave a block in place, don't they? Oh, it's probably your bed drawing them through.
Yeah. Oh, there's I think that might be granite. That's in here now.
Oh, gravel, I think.
Gravel. Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant.
Where they got it from, I don't know, but
Yeah.
it's here.
I don't see the Enderman anymore, but
Because obviously they like deposit a block and it just goes where it goes, doesn't it? But I don't know how it works with like an object. Like, 'cause I didn't know they could pick up objects.
yeah, I don't know either.
Does
First
it
time I've seen one.
Hmm. Does it
It's like
like get dropped or? Ow.
yeah, I'm looking around now in case it's like, because I was all the way up there, so maybe I was mistaken that it was a torch, but it sure looked like a torch they were carrying. And I don't see anything else that's been plucked out here.
Yeah. Hey, you cleaned up the mushrooms.
Yeah. Put down a few more torches as well.
Nice.
You're doing the lighting a bit better when it's done, but
Yeah.
at least keep the place clean for now.
Stop that mushroom infestation.
Yeah.
Got a lot of mushrooms out and about, haven't we? Like all around Chasm. It's a very mouldy place. What was I doing? Oh yeah, I need to do this. Why is that so fun to do?
Huh.
Like it's really fun to do, and I don't know why. Like more fun than you would expect.
Yeah.
So. No wait, hold on. Hold on, I'm thinking. Oh, I don't even need a platform as such. I just need an entry point. Because you walk out onto the glass wall of the transit tube to board the what'll be your boat, don't you? Yeah. So you don't actually need a platform, just a place to get on. That's kind of cool, actually. Don't put them back. Oh, interesting. That changes things. But not massively, but like, yeah, it doesn't have no impact. So. If I build those stairs down from there. Oh, but maybe I should do that actually. Oh, maybe I don't need to. Okay, that last one wasn't like an intentional villager thing. That's just me.
Yeah, I came over to see if I could spot you from up here, and I can't. The factory's in the way, but you know what? This is one heck of a view.
Oh, good. They're kind of look. Let me put on appropriate safety gear. Oh wow, yeah, that's up there on the pinnacle.
Don't bother with safety gear. Nothing will save you if you fall from up here. If you fell from this roof down the chasm inside, I think that would be probably the furthest place in the world that you could fall.
I bet it is, yeah, because you took down to bedrock, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah.
Like, even with the relatively low draw distance we've got on a realm server, that's incredible. Look at the transit tube.
Yeah. All that glittering glass.
Oh, that's kind of cool actually. That's way better than having like big stone arches everywhere.
Yeah, it looks great.
Oh, that's really cool. I like that. Oh, it's all so small.
Colourful the pumpkin patch looks from up here.
Oh, it does, doesn't it? I'm holding down the crouch, and I've got my hands away from the arrows just in case.
Yeah.
Oh well, I guess what if you fell into the porch? That's still probably high enough to kill you, right?
Yeah, probably. Maybe if you landed on the peak of the porch, the feather fall boots would save you. I don't know.
Not worth trying.
No.
It's not like Tyson's old experiments.
Yeah.
Are you at full health? Yeah, why? Thunk. With the old crossbow.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that even with feather fall, you still reach terminal velocity from up here.
Yeah, I think so.
That's why my bed's out.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'd be back at full zero, right? Oh, yeah, that's great. Let's have a look at this other side. Oh. Nice view over the lake.
Yeah.
I love these random patches of trees that I've put down. They're like there if we need the wood, I guess.
Yeah.
Or they just sit there. That's nice.
It's a safe place to keep the unusual trees we've found.
Yeah, I like that. I like cultivating all the different trees.
Mm.
Doing more dark oak, I suppose. I don't think we've got many of them, have we?
It'd be a terrible shortage of acacia if anybody ever actually wanted it.
That's true. We'd have to forest it carefully. Would anyone ever want acacia? View to the forest that we've not yet felled for industry.
See the new lake house, but can't see the turtles that I'm sure are still covering the deck.
Oh, they've got to be, haven't they?
Yeah.
That's too far to jump. So they couldn't like jump and hit the water.
No, I don't think so.
Miles away.
Maybe that little bit where it sticks out over there. I don't think I've built all the way that far out yet, though.
Nah.
I suppose maybe from the shell of the building.
I'm not going to try it though. Return to the Tolkien theme from last time. If you destroy all the forests, you could roleplay the scouring of the Shire. We could. I like the sound of that. You know, the villagers can be like the hobbits, can't they? Just in our attempt to exploit all their resources.
Look at all that forest.
Think of all that land that could be put to use. Look at all the agricultural acreage. What about if we were to build a series of like longhouses, or barracks if you will, surrounded by composters, and then just cover the entire area in pumpkins?
I mean, it'd be far more profitable.
And that's what matters.
And we could fund it with the sale of the wood.
Exactly. The line must go up.
I appreciate how big the forest out there is until you look at it like this.
No, because it blocks your line of sight, so you only ever see little bits, don't you?
Yeah. Only it's just something we sort of skip through if we go out that way at all.
Yeah, like we barely ever go that direction, do we?
Yeah. Because of, the forest. We can't, like, ride through or see anything.
Yeah, that's basically it. We live in the bit we can control and ignore the rest. I mean, we've even like fenced off a portion of forest there, pretending to leisure forest.
Yeah.
Okay, where's this ladder? I don't want to die. Oh, there it is. When I played my first ever Minecraft game, I do have some Tolkien thoughts, by the way, just carry on from what B-Rat said. But when I played my first ever Minecraft game, I dug a huge shaft, inside a hill to like get to rare resources underneath. It's an enormous pit shaft with a ladder down the side. And I, of course, fell off the ladder and just fell and died. And that's why whenever I've dug pit shafts myself, I've gone 10 down, like a couple out, 10 down, like done it stepped like that. So that you get hurt but you can't die. A huge shaft, yes, but you're right, you heard correctly. I favoured a huge shaft, as indeed I do. But it was unsafe. Was the answer there? I was thinking about talking about them, and I'm going to be very controversial because I know a lot of people, particularly on the left, we have opinions of Tolkien, don't we? And based on a lot of things that he said, justified. But here's the thing you might not know: Tolkien was actually, in his own way, anti-colonial. He disapproved of colonialism, which is something you wouldn't necessarily expect. But he didn't agree with it. It's quite nice.
Yeah.
It's like from an Englishman born in 1892, That's quite good.
Yeah.
Like, it's bare minimum, obviously, because like not approving of a horrendous thing, like, it doesn't make you good. But like, yeah, I think that's something, right? Oh, I've done that.
Yeah.
Wrong. Yeah, there's in his like letters and his speeches and stuff. He was quite critical. But again,
Even
like,
his other views, I think it would have been a big surprise to me if he wasn't anti-colonial, to be honest.
yeah, I can see that. It I'm trying to think of a good example, because obviously he talks about in one of his letters to his son. Oh, sorry, that wasn't an open. That was like me doing things wrong. That wasn't in the letter to his son. He talked about how appalling it was the way people were treated in the colonies. But he also talked about the idea of colonialism itself, and he also gets criticised in. I mean, remember, it's not an analogy. It's it's applicability, or whatever he used to say. It's not an allegory. It's applicability. But he talked about the Numenorians and how they started out as like sailing the world, like giving away their skills. Just sharing their knowledge freely, just like giving it to anybody who wants it, and then ended up like, let's say, establishing colonies and enslaving people and all that stuff, and stripping lands of their resources, and how this is very much a bad thing and a sign of Numenor's utter decline. And okay, I think that's quite clear what that means there.
Yeah.
That's right. Tolkien doesn't do allegory. Exactly. I cordially hate allegory wherever I smell it, as he said. Even though he also like absolutely did allegory. I mean, the dead marshes are absolutely the Western Front of the First World War. He doesn't do allegory. Luthien's his wife. I don't know. I didn't realise that one.
I mean, I think he'd argue that those are inspirations.
Yeah. I mean, I think he'd probably deny the Dead Marshes one just because that involved talking about the First World War, which he very much did not do. But yeah, I like the joke about Tolkien and C.S. Lewis and their approaches to allegory. Tolkien's like, no, it's not an allegory for anything, and if you say that again, I'll shoot you. And C.S. Lewis is like, if people don't realise the lion is Jesus, I'll die. But yeah, I mean, I'm known somewhat, I think, as a bit of a Tolkien fan, and like I think people might have that impression of me.
I have heard the rumor.
Yeah, some people say that I might be a Tolkien fan. Now, I don't know if you want to, give that any credit or not, but that's what some say. Oh, what if that looked terrible. But maybe. What if it looked terrible, but I just did it anyway? Like in defiance to the natural order. In defiance and deniance of the natural order. Okay, that's a very like. I don't know if even you remember that. Well, that's from Lewis.
I can't place it.
If I put it in its original context of in defiance and deniance of Mendelian genetics. It was many years ago. It was when we used to do some online like forum role playing. It was someone's character had the super. You remember when Angel did like a superpower? Like it wasn't like a superhero thing, but we'd all got like superpowers and stuff. It's like very open ended, like side.
Yeah.
I don't know what you'd call it, like space opera kind of thing, I guess. And one of the characters, it was somewhat random or online created, had the superpower that any kids they had would exactly resemble them in every way. In defiance and deniance of Mendelian genetics.
Just a second.
Sure. which is about one of my favourite things that I've ever read on anybody's character sheet ever. What does it even mean? It was a thing of beauty. But that's not the big problem, isn't it? With like kind of doing like that online role playing like that, is you get people turn up and they sometimes have interesting ideas that you know. Is this right? Am I even doing this? Am I even in the right line?
I am back.
Okay, I'll forgive you this time, but only this time. So yeah. Consider.
The Enderman is also back, I think.
Oh, well, they heard you were back. I guess. Yeah. It's quite reasonable.
Can't tell from up here whether it's the same Enderman.
True. No need to stereotype. I've told you before, sorry, this is just thinking about Tolkien. I've told you before, my favourite critique I ever saw about Tolkien.
That the gameplay being the best part was not a good thing.
I mean, close enough. That's the thing. Those are words that I've said. So I would also have accepted Swarm. A swarm of bees controlled by the soul of a Nazi. Or Big Wheel. Yeah, those are also acceptable answers. Yeah, my favourite criticism of Tolkien was that the Lord of the Rings is racist because it's Tolkien's reaction to the immigration into the UK of people from South Asia in the 1960s. Yeah, just because obviously you can make arguments against Tolkien. I just want you to kind of just let that sit a moment and tell me what you think.
But I'm sorry. Would you care to repeat that year?
The 1960s.
Oh yeah, fair enough. That checks out.
Yeah, because like there are criticisms you can make of Tolkien. That's the thing, right? You know, he's my favorite author, but of course there are issues, there are things that we've criticized before. We've talked about before, and will again. You know, he's even though I think all these female characters are they're always like plot significant, right? But there are always very few of them, and there's none in The Hobbit, for example. Even though it's less than people often imagine, he's got a tendency to espouse like traditional views. Even though he's kind of more radical than people expect, because he's presented an idealized world that he says in his letters could never exist. But still, I get it. But yeah, that the Lord of the Rings is a criticism of the 1960s migration into the UK of people from South Asia. It was published in 1952, which is before 1960. Just to clarify there.
Well, I mean, math. We all know that maths is not your strong point.
Well, that's true. Actually, that is true. Would you investigate that for me, Lewis, and see if 1960?
Might need to crunch the numbers. I'll get in touch with the boffins.
I really hope you can see that. But yeah, that's the thing, and I love it because it's just like I love stuff like that. Like that's like an academic paper that somebody wrote, but like it was actually quite praised at the time, which is just remarkable. Like it's 10 years out.
Yeah.
Like there's so. I fell off the.
Huh?
Fell off the transport tube. Yeah, it happens. Oh, no. Just getting. Yeah, it's raining. I don't want to sleep outside, so.
Yeah.
As soon as I was by the keep, I'll come home. Goodbye, Fenrir. Goodbye, Fenrir. Jess. I've sometimes thought, idly, I should say, about how I should probably like sum up all my thoughts on Tolkien in some form of like a video format, rather than just randomly firing off my thoughts on a million different streams. But it becomes like the however many 36 sermons of Vivek, and you kind of like read them all to piece it all together.
Yeah.
And the 37th sermon of the 36 sermons of Vivek. Something to think about there. And you couldn't really expect the Vivek to have.
Yeah, I was about to say, it'd almost be weird if there were 36 sermons of Vivek.
yeah, like it wouldn't fit, would it? I will say this. As much, I love Skyrim, right? I've said it before. Certainly when I first played it, it was my favourite game for a long time afterwards. Because it meant a lot to me because of the circumstances of the time, where I was, metaphorically, in my life, things that were going on. It was a real escape for me. So it meant a lot, and it does still because of that. Even though I've played it through since, it was the other year, went it? A couple of years ago now. I did another big playthrough, and I am more critical of it, even though I do love the game. But I want more Vivek level stuff.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard, I think, to get that kind of stuff right, where it comes across as like mysterious and interesting, and not just like you're trying to be mysterious and interesting.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit silly nonsense. I think it's difficult to do, and I think they actually get it right in Morrowind with the 36 sermons of Vivek or lessons of Vivek. Like, I think they've not done a bad job with Elder Scrolls Online with the Clockwork City stuff, which I've mentioned. I'm not super familiar because you had to pay extra for that, so obviously I didn't. There's something we should play Elder Scrolls Online, by the way, because we both got it.
Yeah.
I think we could have some fun. Yeah. That could be a fun thing we do together. But yeah, so I've seen like little bits from that, where they have all the by these words we wind the gear. By these words I wind the gears, and all that like reflexive kind of semi-religious, but not not quite fictional. And so, interesting. I like Sothasil anyway, so.
Yeah.
A lot of like interesting, like references to gears, but it's like all metaphor. Like, I like that stuff. I see Vivek's just all metaphor, and there's a heavy implication that they are written for you, like the sermons. They're written thousands of years ago, but they're written for you now, which I quite like.
One of those things where you're reading a book from 10,000 years ago and it abruptly addresses you by name.
Basically, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you're like, oh. And he's very cool. I mean, he's very weird, and I think it's difficult to get that balance of the right amount of weird, if that makes sense. Like, it's easy to do stuff that's weird, but just ends up being nonsense. Whereas, dang it, I feel like a lot of the Morrowind stuff actually is weird in like a good way, like almost like a constructive way that draws you in without just being like, oh, I don't know, mysterious. It reminds me of Good Omens and an Ethma device. I know writers who use subtext and they're all cowards. I don't think I've ever read Good Omens. I know there's a series on right now with David Tennant and Michael Sheen, is it? I did that wrong like twice in a row. I did that wrong 3 times in a row. Okay, I need to reposition. This is not working. But yeah, I've not actually seen it.
I haven't seen the series, but like historically, adaptations of Pratchett works have not been like good.
Yeah. But done it wrong again. The first series covers the book and it's pretty good, Imo, says B-Rap. The book is fantastic. Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. That does sound good. It's been a long time.
Very good book.
Yeah. I read one of Terry Pratchett's like sci-fi novels once. That was interesting.
Yeah.
Like an early one of his that we don't remember that he did. But I remembered it. We read it years ago. My dad had it like from it, so he got it originally and was like, "Hey, if you like Discworld, you should try this."
Do you remember which one it was?
Was it something to do with locusts?
Locusts.
I don't remember. For some reason, I have like a sense memory of locusts. I don't know why.
Okay.
That may be nonsense. I would have to look it up.
I'm trying to think. No, I can't place that one.
It may have been. It may be that it had a locust on the cover, which may be therefore unrelated to anything else. That's a rubbish path, but I'll leave it to that. I think Neil Gaiman said that most books that people want him to sign are in good condition, but everyone that brings him a copy of Good Omens has it like ragged and falling apart because it gets reread so much. See, that's really good. That's a really good sign, isn't it? As much as I hate seeing books in poor condition, that's a really good sign. He says getting a new Silmarillion for Christmas. I'm getting a new Silmarillion for Christmas, by the way. Also getting a new Hobbit. So my Christmas present from Mum and Dad, new copies of the Hobbit and the Silmarillion. Because the copy of the Hobbit I've got is my dad's from the 70s, and it's like dropping to bits. But that's like, mainly because it's from the 70s and they used to like bind them with acid or whatever.
Which version of the Hobbit are you getting, Like which story will Bilbo tell?
I believe it's the second edition of There and Back Again. I love that that's an in-universe thing, by the way. So if you don't know what we're talking about, when Tolkien published the first edition of The Hobbit in 1937, Bilbo is, when he confronts Gollum, Gollum doesn't offer to, he gets confronted by Gollum. Gollum doesn't offer to lead him out. He offers to give him a present if he wins the game of riddles. And, Bilbo does, right? And Gollum is going to give him the ring. Obviously, Bilbo's already found the ring. That's, the whole what's it got in its pockets and all that. So Gollum was going to give him the ring anyway. Then he gets mad because he feels cheated, etc. Rather than feeling robbed, I guess. And there's also some other real world references in the first edition. But then people really, the publishers and stuff really pushed Tolkien for a sequel, which he didn't want to write. He wanted to write the Silmarillion. I was like, okay, I'll give you the Silmarillion instead. And they were all like, no, we want a sequel to The Hobbit. So he decided to do another sequel, but now there's a bit of dispute over this, but basically we'll go with the established story and say set his sequel in the world he was writing for the Silmarillion just later. And thereby he needed to incorporate The Hobbit into that fictional world as well. So he needed to remove the real world references from The Hobbit. And then he decided as he was writing it that the ring was now super significant. Because he basically looked for anything that was like sequel bait in The Hobbit, and obviously the ring stands out. What is it? Who does it belong to, etc. And so he decided that it wouldn't make sense for Gollum to offer up the ring. Like, he'd be unable to even think about giving it away. He wouldn't even lie about it. So he changed it so that Gollum offers to let him go. And that was like the second edition onwards. Or, it was changed like that. But Tolkien then incorporated both versions into Lord of the Rings, where it's established in Lord of the Rings that Bilbo tells the first version of events that Gollum gave him the ring for gave him a prize for winning it in a contest. He obviously doesn't tell people about the ring, but he tells Gandalf that that's how he came by it. And that Gandalf's troubled because he can tell Bilbo's lying, and Bilbo doesn't normally lie. And that's the first clue that something's off about this ring. That Bilbo is otherwise very honest, lies about it. And I love that. I love that Tolkien incorporated it into the narrative. It turned Bilbo Baggins into a lying liar. I mean, I guess actually I should say that Gandalf's first clue is that it turns people invisible. Right, like something's obviously off there, you know. That's probably like most rings don't turn people invisible. I would say. I would suggest.
Other magic rings in existence, so like.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you shouldn't be messing around with magic rings. Full stop. But like, it's probably just a minor one, right? Right. Yeah. Wait, no. This is.
Assumption is not immediately that it's a ring of power.
Yeah, it's. I think it does say that there are many lesser rings, mere essays in the craft, but none of them should be trifled with.
Yeah.
Certainly not used. I would imagine is the implication there. Not used for party tricks. Lol, I disappeared. There we go. Nice.
So it does work so well with the kayfabe that we got the two versions, one of which Bilbo's lies were told as truth, because obviously the out of universe law is that Tolkien didn't write Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit. He just translated it from a copy of the Red Book, which the parts relating to that era were mostly written by Bilbo.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So it includes Bilbo's like lying version.
Yeah. Functionally, Bilbo wrote The Hobbit.
Yeah, I love that. And Lord of the Rings is basically written by Frodo, right? It's a sequel to.
Yeah.
It's a sequel to There and Back Again, called The Downfall of the Lord of the Rings. There we go.
I don't know if it's supported by the text. You know better than me, but I always figured that the Silmarillion was written by Bilbo at Elrond's.
It's translated by Bilbo at Elrond's.
Yeah. Okay.
Because when sorry, go on.
When I say written by him, I mean it would be mostly based on things that they were telling him.
Yes. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. We're told that the Red Book of Westmarch contains There and Back Again, a Hobbit story, the Downfall of Lord of the Rings, and some translations from the Elvish by Bilbo, which is implied to be the Silmarillion. Like, it's never explicitly stated what the translations from the Elvish by Bilbo are, but the implication is that it's the Silmarillion. And I guess anything else that Tolkien wanted to include at a later date?
Yeah.
Did he just... Because obviously there was no Silmarillion published in Tolkien's lifetime. Like, Tolkien never finished the Silmarillion. Where did I leave my... No, I've got it. Because I followed the landscape beforehand. Now the transit tube looks really tall in places. That towers over, it's great. But yeah, see, functionally, Bilbo like wrote down the story, and that's why I guess it's a bit of a collection. Because Bilbo's writing down like whatever they were telling him, translating it into Westron, I guess.
Yeah. Whatever we could get them to talk about, given that a lot of it was sensitive subjects for them.
Yeah. I like the bit in Lord of the Rings, which is obviously not in the film, but where Bilbo talks about he's written his poem on Eärendil, and he asks Aragorn for help, and Aragorn's like, if you're going to be daft enough to write about Eärendil and the House of Elrond, i.e. his son, you're on your own.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking of that same bit as well.
Yeah. I mean, like, on the one hand, there are people who were there. Right? You've got like literally Glorfindel, for example. I bet he could tell you all about the fall of Gondolin. And that's when I died fighting a Balrog. Oh, you guys, there's a villager on the crenellations of the keep.
Oh.
We should probably do something about that, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
How about... No, that's not going to work. Yeah, okay, we need to convene and work out how we're going to get him down. I don't want him like falling off. Man, I'm not sure how they got up there, honestly.
Yeah, it's a very.
We've got two villages up here. We've got a farmer and a fisherman. Huh?
It's a nice little character moment for Aragorn to be aggravated that Bilbo is asking people about all these things that are not polite to ask about.
Yeah.
And Bilbo just doesn't really care.
No, he's 111 at that point.
Yeah,
So whatever.
he's old. He doesn't have patience for this.
Yeah. He wants to write stories and he wants to know. Hi, Loomis.
Hi. Oh. Village extended out this far? There's quite a few places on the far left side where you can... Actually, can you get up?
It should be designed so it's impossible to get up. I've tried to... So there's supposed to be only one way in or out, which is the bridge.
Yeah, I think if you're determined, you can get up on the other side. I don't know whether a villager could do it, if that's how they managed it.
Because it is something, it's like obviously I came here and all the doors were open. So that must be them.
Yeah. Oop.
Oh.
And a hole in the wall. I'll just fill that in with dirt.
Hole in the wall. Oh, in the stable?
Yeah, kind
Huh.
of. So I cleared out some dirt and there was a gap behind it.
Ah, fair enough, okay. So how do we get him down? I mean...
Yeah.
What? No. Maybe. What if we were to put a block of honey, right? Under the exact, a certain point of the wall. And then one of us gets in a boat, the villager will get in, and then we row it over the crenellations onto the honey. Because honey cancels your fault, right?
Yeah.
So if we were to do that, it would be perfectly safe. Probably. I don't know if that'd work.
I don't know if honey cancels your fall, it reduces your fall, right?
Yeah, that's probably more accurate.
Yeah.
Huh? It's Berthel and an unnamed villager, by the way.
Okay.
Hi, Loomis.
Hi.
I like it up here, actually. You don't go up to the roof much,
Yeah.
Do I mean, even if we could, row them? I mean... No, that won't work. So we need to get them outside the perimeter of the keep.
Yeah. Maybe build a little bit of a stairway. Go get some blocks of dirt.
Yeah. And kind of stacked up to the walls like you're doing a ramp.
Yeah.
And then we'll row them over the crenellations onto that and just row down.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'll keep that. I don't know how to dislodge that chicken either. Okay. I just had the most blessed Vampire Survivors run ever. This game is like crack. I've heard of it, but I've never played it. What's it? I mean, I'm guessing a survival game of some kind. But what's it about, B-Right? I don't actually know. So those games I've heard people talk about, and are always in like positive terms, but I don't actually know anything about it. It's like a reverse bullet hell where you are the person shooting all the bullets and hordes of enemies come at you. Oh, that sounds pretty fun, actually. I like that. Fantasy themed. There's like tons of weird upgrades and combinations of weapons and items. That's cool. Me and Asmoth played one once, and I don't remember what it was. But that was like where you constantly swarmed by enemies and you've got to like fight as quickly as possible. Let me just try and make sure that nobody follows us up.
I haven't played Vampire Survivors, but I've played one of the many cheap knockoffs that immediately appeared once Vampire Survivors essentially established a new mini genre and became quite popular.
Also, you realise we're currently playing Lemmings, don't you?
Yep.
And you're being with a Tyler? Is that what they're called?
I think so.
Builder? Right, so
Builder, maybe. Yeah.
this,
I don't know if this is going to be high enough.
and I've got some...
Which is a very Lemmings experience.
It is. Oh no. I used to love lemons. I had lemons on the Acorn Archimedes and I used to absolutely love it. I got really far. Every level had a password, so you could like start from that level if you wanted. And I got really far, and then it was the one where you've only got... I think Nightmare on Lem Street, I still remember it. You've only got one lemon, and you've got to get him to the end. That was it, I couldn't do it. I got stuck on that one. Bear in mind, I must have been like 9 at most, because that's when we got a PC.
Well, look at that. I got it perfect.
Excellent, well done, Lewis.
Calculated.
That's spot on.
That's... Yes, yeah, that's what having a mathematical mind will do for you. You know, it just took me one glance to calculate the perfect angle of approach.
Oh, it's impressive. I've got an idea. Let me try something. Okay, well, let me do it. Try it again. Are they coming?
I mean, they're coming, but I also don't like this idea because that's a very big fall.
There, I stopped it. Yeah, you got to bait them down, you see.
Yeah.
Like this. Are they coming now? Or did they immediately just go and hover?
Oh, he's coming.
Okay.
Oh, they're both coming.
Excellent. Hold on. One out. I'll sleep on my bed. Have you got a bed, Andy? Have you got one in your inventory? Wait, no, okay, it's working. Alright, we're clear.
Cool.
What a success. I played Lemons on the Atari. Oh, we had an Atari. But I didn't really play it much as a kid. An Atari 2600. I've got it now. I want to get it up and running again, but you kind of need some connectors that don't really exist. They're sleeping in my bed. I'll have to go inside. Some connectors that I've not quite got and stuff. But I've got my mum and dad had it. Atari 2600. I played. Was it Oh No More Lemons? Is that what the Acorn? It would have been on the Amiga as well. It might be Oh No More Lemons.
There were so many versions.
Yeah, I know. I didn't have Lemons too. A friend had Lemons too, or someone I used to be friends with by proximity. It was actually quite unpleasant. We still have both an Atari 2600 Junior and an Atari somewhere back in the family house. Oh, that's very nice. It's So yeah, it's an Atari 2600 Junior. Mum and Dad have got, which is like the black plastic one, isn't it? Apparently, I think they did have the original wooden 2600.
Ah!
Oh no, I saw that. Oh, Atari ST is the other one. Okay, that's that. I think they had one originally, but that long since gone. Thank you, Bureau.
That's where my safety gear.
Good. I'm glad to see it. See, safety saves lives. You love to see it. Still need to disable the siege ramp, of course. I don't want to allow people to storm the keep. Yeah, I still love Lemons. I've played it so much. Like, and as a kid, the like, however many bit sound of public domain songs is really appealing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know as an adult how much I'd like a monophonic rendering of how much is that doggy in the window. But as a kid, that's brilliant. You love it, like Christmas carols and stuff being rendered like that. And it is like a fun tactical challenge as well.
Yeah.
Line up all the different jobs and everything. Wait, now, so builders built. What do we know? Is it tilers? Because one of them builds at a diagonal, right? They like get them out like the backpack and just like.
Mm-hmm.
I
think they were just builders. Yeah.
Just builders. And they're like, obviously blockers.
The diggers, and there were two kinds of diggers. That might be what you're thinking of. One that went straight down, and one that like swung a pickaxe and at a diagonal.
Yeah, it was like miners and bashers or something like that, wasn't it?
Bashers went straight on. So I guess arguably three kinds of diggers.
Yeah, they're the bashers. Yeah, because they're the ones who dug straight down with their hands, right? They did like a little flailing motion. The bashers like ploughed forwards. And then, they're the ones who did the diagonal mining bit.
I remember getting to a certain point in the game where, like, every new level was one of the easy levels from the start of the game, except this time you didn't have the thing that you previously used to beat the level.
Oh, that's so good.
Got to find out a new way to do this one.
I mean, it's horrible, but that's really fun.
Yeah. I think a lot of it was quite pixel perfect later on.
Yeah.
It was a bit difficult.
Yeah.
Like, placing builders in the exact right spot to get into places that you shouldn't really be able to get to with a builder.
Oh, yeah, I get you.
And, like, using glitches and things to your favor as well.
Really?
Yeah, like, you're not supposed to be able to recover a blocker once they're in place. Like, they're supposed to be immovable. But you'd get levels where you need to use blockers and you need to rescue every lemming. And the trick is that if you destroy the floor underneath them so they fall, then it resets them so they start walking again. So you'd have to take out the ground underneath them or get a builder in the perfect place that they wedge a block under the blocker's foot. Like that.
Oh, grief, that sounds awful.
Yeah.
My life would have been so different without the Atari ST. Monkey Island basically taught me English at that age, and some paint program we had made me interested in programming in the first place. That's really cool, actually.
Yeah.
Like, it's amazing how, like, what kind of influence and impact like video gaming does have. That gets kind of ignored a lot of the time, I think.
Do you remember, what's it called, Pen Turtle?
Yeah, I remember Pen Turtle. That was a lot of fun.
Arguably our first programming experience.
Yeah, like, I mean, I didn't understand at the time that's what we were doing, but yeah, you're programming, aren't you?
Yeah. If
X go to Y, essentially. Like, you start off simple, don't you? Like, go forward and all that, and then... Well, if you don't know, because I don't know how widespread it is, or whether people at home are going to be familiar with it, but Pen Turtle was like a little, I don't want to call it a game, but a game adjacent thing maybe, where you had like a little pen turtle, who just like a pen nib, as I recall, and then you like typed in commands and it would do it to like go for and like draw a little line behind it. go forward and it'd go forward and such.
Like pen down, forward 40, left 15, forward 20.
That was it, yeah.
Yeah, you just all your commands and hit go and run off doing all the things.
Yeah. I remember it being really fun because, like, of course, you gotta picture the scene, right? This is us at junior school in our town, which was very poor, and we had like I don't know 6 or 7 Acorn Archimedes with RISC-OS 2. So remember they were less powerful than the computer I had at home.
Yeah, I was about to say the same.
Yeah, and like you had to do like one between 3 or whatever, and take it in turns.
Yeah.
And you got to do this lesson like twice a term, maybe.
Yeah.
So you probably got to do it about, I don't know, 5 times a year. And that was our IT stuff. There was also in the school, I think 2 or 3 other computers. I mean, like, accessible, for kids' use, not for like office use or whatever. And they were all BBC Micro 2. And they were BBC Micros. And they had the big floppy disks that were literally floppy. It was, yeah, so that was our IT background at school.
Yeah.
It wasn't Turtle for me. It was literally just a paint program, but I was fixated on how it can manage to flood fill any solvable maze I drew in it. Okay, yeah, I get that. Yeah, I can see why that would be fascinating. That makes sense. Because it is a cool thing when you think about it. Yeah, I've gone around it, by the way, Loomis, and I've made determined efforts to climb up at various points, and I reckon... I thought it was impregnable before, but I'm like doubly sure now. You just can't... You can't get up. I almost wonder if it's worth putting gates on both ends of the bridge. So the reason that the near end is so that we can use it as a kill zone in the event that we need to fall back to the keep to defend the village. Right, which is... I mean, the reason the keep was the keep building the... that was the plans devised, weren't it, in the aftermath of the raid, of the siege. Was to turn the keep into a bastion of defence. And the idea was we'd draw them onto the bridge and get them there. Because the villagers will try and charge us down and not be able to get any further. So that's why the gates there. But I wonder if I need to put the gates at the far end instead. What do you reckon?
I think it does look better the way it is.
Yeah, the gates. It also means that you can just jump from the stairs and clear the gates and not have to open them every time.
Yeah.
I did consider turning it into a drawbridge, by the way, but that'd be a rate show. Oh, wait, can you go round?
I got across.
Oh, there's a massive security weakness. This is atrocious.
I came across joking about how... Planning to joke about how you needed a professional platformer to play opposing force here. But I didn't have time to get my joke out before I solved it.
Because you're a professional platformer, clearly. That's alright. We'll just extend this little fence to either side to form a square. That's no problem. Yeah, okay, I've already got in mind how I'll do that. But yes, I do actually need a professional platformer to do opposing force here. It's very useful. It's what Rogaldorn and Peturabo could have done.
Yeah.
If they'd not. If Rogaldorn was less of a dick and Peturabo was less easily offended. Which is essentially what happened there. Yes, I'll take them all. No, I don't need them all. That's ridiculous. I'll take 3. I've been thinking a lot about retro. Like retro games that I had as a kid. So, because the other day I was listening to some game music. We were talking about like old sounds in the QHS Discord. Old modem sounds and such. And I was reminiscing about what I think is some of the best video game music ever made, which is the music to Twin World. Which, if you know me, you probably know I was already going to say Twin World because I really think it's got great music. It's not enough.
Yeah, I'd very much like to play that.
Twin World. It's very fun. And it's got like great. I really like the. I should have brought more, by the way. I did the thing that you always criticised me for doing, like only bringing just enough and then finding out I need more. I'm trying to save inventory space. But yeah, Twin World's really fun. I had no idea what we were going off as a kid, because as I've said before, we had all our Acorn games off some guy that my dad knew, called Dick, and they were all copies, because you could just copy a floppy in those days, couldn't you? Like you didn't. They weren't exactly like much DRM.
Yeah.
You just copy it, and so we had all copies. And of course, in those days, they didn't like tell you things. Games they didn't have the memory to like tell you stuff. It all had to be in the manual, like the entire backstory and setting of the game, your objectives, the name of your character. It had to be in the manual. And of course, if you get the game just off a guy that your dad knows, you don't get a manual with it.
Yeah.
So I never knew. I never knew what was going on. I never knew, who the character was, what you were doing, or why. This is actually going to be really hard to fully fortify unless I do some slightly different shenanigans with it, which I will, obviously. But let's try that for now, and then if you'll come and oppose and force me, then I think I'm going to have to actually make some slightly different changes. Some more earthworks, which is the key part of any defense. But yeah, so you're a little guy. Yeah, just a little guy. On the cover, which I never saw because it was just a floppy with the words Twin World written on the paper label. I'm pretty sure it's a kid that they've drawn a beard on to represent your character. But anyway, he's just a little guy, he's a little guy. And it's probably his birthday. You wouldn't hit a little guy on his birthday, would you? Anyway, yeah, and you can throw these little fireballs, and you get upgrades. You can pick stuff up that makes them like bounce or ricochet around or whatever. And oh, you found a way. Okay, where did you get up? How did you do it?
No. A villager couldn't do that.
Ah, okay, but still, like, could an illager do it in the event of a siege?
Like you'd have to actively jump.
Ah, okay, that's bad.
Yeah.
Oh, did you stand on there where the torch is, more or less?
Yeah.
And then clear across.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I can't stay anywhere else I could get here without jumping.
Thank you. Now I've expanded. Yeah, if you just try that again, that'd be great. Thank you. I would, says Vera. Would hit a little guy on his birthday. So I think you should be able to just. Yeah, you can still walk around, can't you?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you put it out one more there, I think that should stop it.
I mean, if I moved it to, like actually extended it outwards like that.
Yeah. Then there's nothing sticking out for me to. Whoops.
It's so ugly. Though.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that! It's so ugly. What if instead? I mean, it solves it, which is the main thing. But yeah, so you're just a little guy, and then partway through the game, you've got a beard, and I had no idea what was going on. I think it's meant to imply the passage of time. Also, you're like trying to defeat your evil uncle or whatever, and I never knew that. I never knew that was what it was about.
Yeah, it's in many ways a retelling of Hamlet.
I was just thinking that actually. This might be less ugly. Not the Lion King. That's the retelling of Hamlet, right?
Yeah.
Which is one of the things that's like, it's true, but you kind of go, whoa, wait, what? I could play opposing force in Mon if you wouldn't mind to.
In some traditions, you're supposed to hit a little guy on their birthday the same number of times that they are old.
That's true, birthday bumps. Did you used to administer them at your infant school? I used to hate that. Oh, your birthday's in school holidays. You never got it.
Yeah. I remember it being more something that people would joke about than actually do.
Yeah. I used to hate birthday.
Although now I'm remembering my niece's birthday last year.
Yeah.
When I told her I'd give her... She's 6 years old, and I told her I was going to give her 6 hugs, each one tighter than the last. Gave her a good squishing. And then after I was done, she asked how old I was, and then told me that my next birthday was going to hurt a lot.
Good lass. Oh, you might be able to make this one here, actually.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, there's a skeleton down there fighting the golems.
Oh.
Killing the golems, actually, by hit and run tactics. Got him. That was a good shot I fired between 2 golems.
Nice.
Okay, I thought I was going to shoot a golem. And that would be the end of all Narelon. I've chucked some soil down there, by the way, if you want to collect it. Well, that's part of my fortification attempts.
Just light up this little bit of a cave.
Thank you. Thank you for your service. Yeah, you're a little guy, you got all kinds of different enemies, and you can do like a little chop thing and like break through the level you're on. This is Twin World, by the way, not anything else. And you can like drop down, and like some of the levels have like a sub level that you can like drop into, and like explore stuff down there. I had no idea it was going off, bear in mind. First of all, I was like 8 or younger, because I'm fairly sure I was 9 when we got a PC. I might have been 10. Was I in year 5 or year 4? I can't remember. I was 9 or 10 when we got a PC. Wait, I can work this out. Roughly. Because it was a Windows 95 PC. So that means Windows 98 hadn't come out yet. One would imagine, right? Because I don't think they sell... I mean, in those days, in the 90s, would they have sold previous versions of Windows? Maybe it was cheaper, I suppose. I don't know. Yeah, so I'm sure it must have been 97 then. So it must have been 9. We got it in 98, I guess. So that doesn't help anything. But yeah, anyway, I was 9 or 10. Probably 9. So that meant that, I was like younger than 9, like 9 and below when I was playing this game. So obviously, I didn't really know what was going on. Plus I had no texts to tell me. So I didn't really understand. But yeah, like, there's all these different quirky enemies, you got different levels, you like go around, you're collecting stuff. Like magic items that help you. Like a terrifying enemy that drops out of trees on you. It's genuinely terrifying. Used to spook me as a kid. And like sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. You have to like try and spot whether they're going to be ones that do or not.
Yeah, that looks good. I don't see any way I can get over this.
Thank you. What if it was an opposed crossing?
I don't really see how that would make it easier. But you're right, we should test for unexpected eventualities.
Oh, I didn't mean to do that. Thank you.
I've played enough Dwarf Fortress to know that sometimes your new upgrade to your impenetrable fortress is what makes it penetrable.
I believe that.
Somebody climbs on top of one of your traps or something and then leaps the wall.
Constantinople finally fell in 1453 because somebody left the door open. The Turks had spent ages besieging it. They had the Sultan had a special gigantic cannon made to breach the famous triple land walls of Constantinople. They'd put all this effort in. They'd spent ages besieging it, massive forces, all like this. And in the end, they got in because somebody left a door unlocked, like a little door out the way in one of the towers. And somebody's like, "Wait a minute!" And they just walked in.
Yeah.
Richard the Lionheart, the most successful Crusader general. I don't know, that's not a good thing. But the most successful Crusader general, the only one to beat Saladin in battle, died being shot by a crossbow by the only knight defending a particular castle, who'd been caught so off guard by the arrival of King Richard that he apparently was wearing cookware on his head in lieu of a helmet because he didn't have his armour. And he fired a crossbow off the wall and shot the king, who got gangrene and died.
Yeah.
Oh, wait a minute, I've had an idea. I want to make it look nicer. This might make it look nicer, or make it utterly pregnable. One of the two. There it is.
Yep.
There. Thank God. Where did you come from?
Well, behind you.
Sure.
I'm everywhere.
Utterly pregnable. Exactly, be right. You heard me.
Alright, what we got here? Have you changed? Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Sticks out a bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looks good.
Excellent. So I thought it looked ugly the way it was before, where it was it's like that double post.
Yeah. Yep, that works.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you. In the Horus Heresy / Warhammer 40,000 lore, the Adeptus Custodes, the custodian guard who defend the Emperor, they have a thing called the Blood Games, which is basically where one of them tries to infiltrate the Imperial Palace and kill the Emperor. Because, they're the masters of defense. If there's a weakness, they'll find it.
Yeah.
So the point is they've got to try and find it. There's kind of it's introduced in the concept's introduced in a short story called Blood Games, which I've spoiled, for which I apologise. Because most of it is just how this dude is evading all the security of the Imperial Palace and how he's going to get in and kill the Emperor. And then just as he's in the, he's in nigh on the Emperor's very chamber as he gets caught. And the other custodians are there you go, well done. Now we know, please tell us about the weaknesses you found. And he's of course. Here's what we'll do in future to avoid it. And they're running all the time. There's always some of the custodians under deep cover. I guess they're 8 foot tall, 9 foot tall or whatever. 9 foot tall, they're absolute giants. Trying to infiltrate the Imperial Palace and kill the Emperor. That's just a thing that they do.
Are they all that tall, or do they want you to think that they're all that tall?
I think they actually are that tall, because they're what the Emperor actually wanted to do with humanity. Space Marines are a temporary measure.
Yeah.
The Custodians they're supposed to be the future of humanity. They're not immune to warp corruption. The giants, super strong, super tough, really long-lived. There's a thing in one of the novels where one of the Adeptus Custodes muses on the fact that custodians are just absolutely unbearable to be around for the first few thousand years. Because, he's talking about himself as well. You can't help but notice how superior you are to everyone around you. It's so obvious. He's talking about dealing with Space Marines at that. And how they're so small, so weak, and they're so slow at the uptake. Like you have to like whenever you're talking to them, you have to like find slow down what you're saying so they can understand you because your mind's just running so much faster than theirs. And so it makes you unbearable to be around. Eventually, you kind of realize, you calm down. But for a while, and he's like kind of laughing about himself, For a while, it's just awful. What was the thing? The Emperor is supposed to be both be giant, and he hid himself among normal humans on Earth for thousands of years. Yeah, I think they're finally hinting now that the Emperor's not actually a giant. That he's like projects the image of being a giant. Because how would he have been around since like the advent of farming when he's like 10 foot tall and so powerful?
I always figured it was the other way around, that he was 10 foot tall, but everybody perceived him as just being a normal person.
That's possible. I've not read it. I think there's a thing where I remember long forum debates about how he hides his giant form via psycho powers. It's quite possible.
I can entirely see him walking around being 10 foot tall in a crowded place and just nobody notices.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense as well. Like, we know Korax, the Raven Guard Primarch, has a whole thing where he can just walk around and nobody sees him. And he's also like a giant, genetically engineered Superman. So, like, his power is to not be noticed if he doesn't want to be. And he muses on how that still works if it's somebody checking like a CCTV camera. Because it affects the minds of people who perceive him, so it doesn't matter how you perceive him. He guesses, because he doesn't actually know, of course. But if it's an automatic scanner, it will pick him up. However, I think, I've not read it yet, but apparently in one of the Horus Heresy novels, you get a POV from one of the Sisters of Silence, who are blanks. So they, that's in 40k. They don't register in the warp, so that means they like actively suppress. Well, I think there's technically differences there. Like, isn't it like you get all the untouchables or whatever who don't register in the warp, but blanks suppress the warp? I think technically there's degrees there. But anyway, the blanks.
I think they're implied to be the same thing of different strengths, because blanks do have different strengths themselves.
Yeah, that's true actually. Not to be confused with pariahs, which is a very specific kind of blank. How
much of a black hole of psychicness they have around them.
Yeah, absolutely. And apparently one of them is bemused at how people react to the Emperor. Because like, she's like people like falling on their knees in awe to the Emperor. And her reaction is kind of like, but he's just a little old man. Like, what is it about the Emperor that gets everyone doing that? Because she's immune to psychic powers. So I guess that implies he actually projects the image of being a huge dude. But again, like we were saying, like long. They were long. I remember the long debates as well about what does the Emperor really look like. So again, I've not read that novel though, so I can't like go into the details. But I've heard that one of the Sisters of Silence is basically like, they all think he's very impressive. Like they respect him for like what he's done and everything, not for like the. He's just a little dude. Exactly, he's just a little guy. You wouldn't launch a galaxy-wide rebellion against him on his birthday, would you? Just a little guy. Interesting, I remember some horror sci-fi-ish series called The Portal in the Forest that had a book device that you couldn't see the true form of, even in photos or something. But one of the characters got around it in some clever fashion. See, I like that I like that kind of stuff. I like it when things are established in a certain way, but you can get around them through some scheme. I mean, it's a bit Gordian knot, I suppose, isn't it? Like, I was telling my mum and dad about that. My mum just cracked up. Like, if you're not familiar, suppose, I mean, I don't know, is it true? Is it apocryphal? I don't know. There's this story that there was this like famous knot, and it was prophesied that whoever could untangle it would become king of Asia. Asia in the ancient Greek sense of, not the whole continent. And Alexander the Great was kind of taken there, and people are like, you want to rule Asia? Well, you gotta untie this Gordian knot, it's like the thing. And Alexander's like, sure, okay, it does a bit of chin stroking. Okay. And then just cut it in half with his sword. They've done it. Which my mum thought was really funny. And I kind of appreciate it. Like, it feels like it's against the spirit of the Guardian now.
But I mean, if it is, a prophecy, then arguably that could be how it was always intended to be solved.
Exactly. That's the fun thing about ancient Greek prophecies, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's always like, oh, you thought X, it was actually Y the whole time. Or you thought that you were the empire. You thought that his empire was the one that was going to fall, huh? That's my favourite one. Croesus, king of Lydia. Well, ruler of Lydia. I don't know if he actually was a king. Asking the oracle whether he should go to war with Persia. Being told that if you go to war with Persia, a great empire will fall. And he's like, sweet. Well, it was his empire the whole time. I bet his face was very red at the end of that. Oh, boy, is my face red. What a silly goof. I remember that. I love Greek prophecy stuff like that because, I mean, first obviously like assuming that the sources are actually telling us the truth, right? That it's not like a later legend or whatever. Like the week when we're talking about Sparta. And like most of what we know about Sparta is actually later people being like, wow, the Spartans are so cool. Like people bearing in mind that the Romans were writing about the Spartans probably, I don't know, a couple hundred years after events. No, more than like 500 years after the events. So like that's already kind of like ancient history. When they're like, wow, the Spartans are so cool and manly and such. So that can happen where, even though it seems ancient and thereby like unchanging or whatever to us, actually it can already have been around a long time in antiquity. Like the Romans being awed by the pyramids. Because like when the Romans arrived, they were already like 2,000 years old or whatever. Oh, what's the fact? You might like this one. Cleopatra is closer in years to us than she was to the building of the pyramids.
Yeah.
Which is I like that. That kind of shows you the scale of like antiquity. That it's a long time. That's kind of terrifying. Yeah. Because like to us, it's all just like ancient history. She's Egyptian, right? The Egyptians built the pyramids. It's like, nah, she's actually like thousands of years before her.
Ancient Egypt is like more than half of the history of human civilization.
Yeah. So I was never that into Egypt as a kid. Like it was never one of the things. Some people get right into Egypt, don't they?
Yeah.
But I was never. But nothing against Egypt. It just never grabbed me in the way some of the others did.
Like, mostly I think we just don't know enough about it to really get into it.
Yeah.
Like, all of the time it's like, we have this one tablet from this 400-year span.
Yeah.
And it's not in the same language as it's not in the same ancient Egyptian as other ancient Egyptian tablets we found, but we can take a few guesses at what it might mean. I mean, of course, once we've translated it, we then have no context to put these words into.
Yeah. The temple/city of Göbekli Tepe in Turkey is estimated to be 12,000 years old, abandoned about 10,000 years ago. That is not the oldest city in the world, like oldest settlement in the world, something like that we know of in that regard. But yeah, that's wild. And to just think about that span of time, that this city was abandoned 10,000 years ago. Doggerland sank after that. See, that blows your mind. So if you're not familiar, the land between what is now sort of England and Denmark was originally dry land. In fact, you could walk from Ireland to like Russia or whatever without ever getting your feet wet because of the glaciation. Right? The bigger the glaciers, the more water they lock up below the sea level. So a lot of the North Sea was dry land, and that area between sort of now England, Scotland, and Denmark, was known as Doggerland. And but yeah, so that whole like imagine like how big of a change that is. You know, the North Sea, the UK, you know, the British Isles being islands and not part of continental Europe, and that happened after that city was abandoned. That's just wild, isn't it?
Yeah.
As an aside, I think we know most of what we know about Doggerland because of Dutch trawlers. Like, because the UK, I think we banned trawling, didn't we? And some other countries did, but Dutch trawlers still trawl in the North Sea, and like obviously that's dragging your fishing nets along the sea floor, and it's very destructive and like should be banned. But what they haul up alongside the fish and you know all sorts of other things that don't want to get caught is like ancient materials, you know, tools, animal bones, antlers, and so we know so much about it because of what the Dutch keep hauling up. Yeah, they had ancient history already in ancient history. Yeah, I was talking about this the other day to somebody, somewhere. Maybe it was on stream, maybe it was in a Discord somewhere, who knows. About how that kind of sense in a fantasy series of like there being like an abandoned civilization from the before times, and like nobody knows anything about it, actually has roots in our world. Like that's kind of what happened with ancient people. Even medieval people, you know, that they could find these ruins that were thousands of years old and go, we've no idea what this is. Maybe it was elves. In fact, that was a wizard did it. Yeah, absolutely. That's a thing too. People basically going, maybe a wizard did it. Like we mock that, and like rightly so, but that is the thing that people in like the ancient world or medieval world did go. They kind of went, maybe it was wizards, maybe it was the gods. You know, they kind of speculated on that sort of stuff. Let's try and explain it. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Stone arrowheads were obviously discovered by people, say medieval England, you know, early medieval England. You know, the Old English, the Angles and Saxons, whatever you want to call them. And they, you know, they discovered these stone arrowheads and had no context for them. And like no knowledge, of course, that anyone had ever used stone arrowheads. Because if, like, you know, how would you know that people hadn't always used metal? Which sounds obvious to us, but you know, how would you know that otherwise?
Yeah.
How do you know that's not just a thing that humans do? So they attributed them to elves. They thought that, you know, like not ancient elves, but like contemporary elves. They thought it was possible that they were the arrowheads used by elves, and that's when you get the idea of elf-struck, which is stroke. The idea that you've been struck by something like a malevolent force, like an elf, and that's what the symptoms of a stroke were. That as ties into other European languages as well. I think stroke comes from a Greek word that means to be struck. There's ancient swamp settlements where our capital is. Would you believe our capital was a Roman outpost first settled on a swamp? Romans and their swamps. Alright, SDG. Romans love a good swamp, don't they? Then drain the swamp. They talk about that a lot. But not in the Trump sense, in the literal rather than metaphorical sense. Sorry.
You've got more to say on topic. Go ahead. I was gonna call back to a previous thing.
That's fine. I was thinking we should probably, if you don't mind, just like slightly early. We'll just start to wrap up soon. So much to go up early morning. Okay. So yeah, it's only slightly early, but so I'll let you have your thoughts.
Couple of thoughts on the Emperor.
Oh yeah, sorry. For a minute, I was like thinking Roman Emperor, like the Emperor, capital T, capital E.
Like one, if he is just like, does just look like a normal guy, it's not impossible, but weird that the half emperor, half human hybrids he keeps churning out are all like 9 feet tall.
Sorry, I love that description.
But also, how sure are we that he only has one form?
Well, exactly not. So, yeah, was the mailman 9 foot tall? Oh, sorry. Exactly. But yeah, there's a bit in one of the Horus Heresy novels, I forget which one, might even be a short story, where Lorgar, Primarch of the Word Bearers, is talking to Magnus the Red, like via astral projection. You know, Magnus the Red just astral projected himself, you know how he does.
Yeah.
And Lorgar, who's famous for looking like the Emperor and being really persuasive and charming like the Emperor is, he's not, he uses psychic powers, but you know, you get the drift. Lorgar says to Magnus, brother, of all of us, you are the one who looks like our father. And Magnus is like, lol, what? I'm red and I've got one eye. What's wrong with you? You know, you're the one. He says, no, because you constantly change how you look, Magnus. Like, do you have one eye or two? Do you have a single eye in the middle of your forehead, or do you have like an eye and an empty eye socket? Are you always that red, or you know, are you sometimes less red? Just like our father changes how he appears, so do you. And Magnus is like, oh well, you know, trade secrets. Or whatever. He just starts being vague, you know what Magnus the Red's like. So yeah, I guess that kind of implies that he's got more than one form in a sense. But again, whether that's perception or no, I don't know.
If the Emperor is a deity, like the Chaos Gods, or I mean, he could be similar in form to like the Chaos Demons and things, where most of him is in the warp.
Yeah.
And what you're seeing is a projection of how he chooses to look in the material plane. And like what the Sister of Science will be seeing that looks so unimpressive is the Emperor's empty shell.
Yeah.
Like that's why she can't feel or sense the Emperor himself because he's in the Immaterium.
Yeah.
She's just seeing the projection that he once inhabited and has been forced out of and can't easily return to. Like Sauron losing his forms.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. That would make sense, because we know that the Emperor has a lot of power in the warp. And certainly that's been exaggerated since, you know, the whole Horus thing. Now he's stuck on the Golden Throne. And, like, it nearly killed Gilliman to chat to the Emperor. Just to give a sense of how much in the warp and not, like, a normal person the Emperor is now. In 40k sense. Would be interesting if there was more than one Emperor and the mass sacrifice to make the Emperor was more of a mass mind meld. Yeah, that's interesting, actually, yeah. Because that would make sense. That's the old law, isn't it? That the Emperor was born by lots of, like, minds, like, lots of beings joining together.
All dead humans go into the Emperor.
Yeah. That's the idea, isn't it? And certainly those psychers they sacrifice are, like, literally being plugged into the Emperor, aren't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's quite possible. I think they've got to walk a difficult line, GW, and that if they are going to do these stories and they are committed to them, one to the final trilogy to finish up the Horus Heresy and Siege of Terra series, by the way. Dan Abnett's writing the final three, which is good because he's like the best author they've got, I think. Except when he just does First World War in space.
Yeah.
But he humanises Space Marines in just the right amount, I think. That he gives them like characters that you can relate to, but at the same time they still feel alien and weird.
When he's writing weird stuff, he's really, really good. But given the chance, he'll write the most boring stuff possible that's going on in the universe.
Yeah. Like the Ravener trilogy, I think is fantastic.
Yeah.
I love the Ravener trilogy because he gets to explore like a hive city that's not just a normal, like not the usual depiction of hive cities. And he gets to like make these really interesting, kind of weird characters. And there's a lot of like fun stuff going on there, and unusual uses of psychic powers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, somebody getting possessed by looking into a shard of glass that came from a planet that was exposed to the stuff like that. Like, you know, things looking back at you at a broken shard of glass. Great, but yeah, if you're not careful, you'll just do like First World War in space.
Yeah.
Like, you gotta watch him. You gotta watch him. He'll do it. He does a really good exploration of the Space Wolves, by the way, in Prospero Burns. Like, he does a really good how they see the world and how they're different to normal Space Marines. And like how they kind of perceive things. We'll be winding up now if that's okay. Love some good cosmic horror. Yeah, definitely. I like that. Yeah, there's a bit where, and I always think of this because I think it's a really good example, where basically the plot of Prospero Burns is an Imperial Remembrancer attached to the Great Crusade before the Horus Heresy. That's like, they came in a variety of forms, which people whose job is to record what happened in the Great Crusade, whether that's through documentation or art or music or whatever. And he's like a historian. And the Space Wolves won't have him, but he eventually persuades, basically he nearly gets killed by one of them accidentally. And so that's it. They owe him a debt now because they accidentally nearly killed him. So fine, they'll let him come. And he just like records their stories and they treat him like a skald. And there's a bit where he's talking about Horus becoming War Master, and they're all like, yeah, we're not happy about that. Yeah, that's terrible. And he says, oh, did you think that it should have been Lehman Russ? And they're all kind of shocked. And they're like, no. We just wish we'd been told so we could have been there when he was made War Master. That's what we're upset about. You know, he'll never know now that that we really believe in him and want him to succeed. Like, we would have howled our support to the skies if we'd been there, but we didn't find out till later because no one told us. And I thought that's like a really interesting idea when you've already established that a lot of the other Primarchs were like, should have been me.
Yeah.
And the fact that they're like, oh no, it should, it never should have been us. Like, we shouldn't be in charge of anything. That includes Lehman Russ. We just like wish we'd been told so we could have like shown out, let him know we believe in him. And the dude's like, oh right. Like, nobody else thinks that. They all think you're really mad about it. And they're like, we do what we do. Let people think what they want. Is that okay? I'm writing that down as well. Yeah. You got any final thoughts? I'll let you. And yes, also they are wrong to believe in Horus. Yeah, I'm guessing that's B-Rats. Yeah, it didn't end well. I didn't. It didn't work out there. It should have been Sanguinius, by the way. Like, he's a nice murdering, genocidal warlord. And that's what you need from your murdering, genocidal warlords. Like, he's sad about things sometimes. Not sad about all the genocidal warlord stuff, but like, he's sad about some other stuff sometimes.
Do you think he might have been eventually, and that's why he wasn't chosen?
Yeah, I think so. I think probably he would have come to regret it in the end.
Yeah.
A bit like Gilliman trying to make Space Marines more than just warriors. He's like, because the galaxy doesn't just need fighters, and the Emperor didn't want Space Marines to think of themselves as more than fighters, right? He wanted killers. And Gilliman's, maybe we can also be poets. He's like, yeah, okay, reboot, calm it down. Like, I need chemically enhanced murderers, not thinkers, okay? Like, you write your memoirs if you want, but I don't want all these soldiers writing memoirs. So yeah, I think probably Sanguinius would have. I mean, maybe even that's it as well. Sanguinius is, we're not just killers, we're artists. Maybe that undermines the whole thing as well. Compared to Horus's, I was raised by gangsters, let's go. Didn't the Emperor make that mistake twice then? First on Earth with some shock troops and then with the Space Marines. Essentially, yeah, that the Thunder Warriors, which are like those shock troops on Earth, they were like the first temporary solution until they could get better at it to make the Space Marines. And it's unclear whether the Emperor intended to get rid of Space Marines, but certain, or whether he intended to keep them around, but I think probably they would have gone the way of the Thunder Warriors too, had the Emperor's plan worked. Either by literal mass murder like he did with the Thunder Warriors, or just by kind of like letting them die out, not replacing their numbers or whatever, is his vision for the future. The Thunder Warriors. It's interesting because in Dune they have the same problem sort of. Yeah, definitely.
That suddenly becomes really ironic with Gilliman rolling out the Primaris Marines.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it?
Like father, like son, I guess.
Yeah. I guess normal space, like firstborn Space Marines, can be upgraded to Primaris, so at least there's that, I guess. But they're not being like, not necessarily being replaced. They can have the upgrade. It's just like difficult, so they mostly don't bother. But yeah, like Father Light Son. But also Gilliman's got this immense like, oh no, everything's awful. I wish Horace had won, actually. Yeah, he says that in one of the things, like, I think Horace should have won, like, it's not worth it. Like, this isn't the life we should live, this is terrible. But he's like, fine. No, this is what I was made for, I guess I'll keep doing it. Which is interesting, actually. Alright then.
My closing thoughts? Just that the thing about going back to the Space Wolves and having them talking about how much they liked Horus at the time. The thing that pops into my mind is some stories I've read about the Transformers universe before the war between the Autobots and the Decepticons.
Oh yeah.
Like in one of the games, there's a bunch of lore entries from a Decepticon before the war that like tie together to make a short story. It's not really anything to do with the plot; it's just world building, which is very nice. Where he's assigned as a bodyguard, as a military escort for a Autobot colony fleet terraforming planets.
Oh yeah.
And it starts out with him being really contemptuous of the weak and feeble Autobots. And as it goes on, he's more and more impressed by the incredible work they do, the beauty they're building, how diligent and hard-working they are. And the final entry is him talking about how the moment he gets back to Cybertron, he's going to ask them to rebuild him as an Autobot, like the Great Primes.
Oh, that's interesting.
It just hit me really hard reading that.
Yeah.
Considering how it all goes.
Oh, yeah, I like stuff like that. I like those kind of ironies. And
yeah.
So I was going to answer Beer's thing then. Did they ever actually release any lore about the Emperor speaking directly to Gilliman and being like all cold and calling him by a number instead of a name, or was that fanfic? There was a lot of fanfics written about it. I've not read it because I'm not kind of with like some of the more recent 40k releases. I've kind of kept up with Horus Heresy a bit more. There's the thing about Gilliman going to meet him and being like both horrified and being like, fine, I guess that's what I've got to do. But I think the fanfic is the one that goes into detail and has them like have a whole conversation. But I'm not 100% sure. They may have released something since. But I think there isn't something where at least it. I don't know if we ever hear what the conversation is, or if it's more of a Gilliman goes into the room, comes out a while later looking like completely worn and like horrified, and like, okay, well that nearly killed me. Well, this is very different to 10,000 years ago. A bit like the Lionel Johnson coming up, coming out of his whatever sleep he was in, and going, "How the heck did I get old? Like, what happened?" Like, yeah, it's been 10,000 years, pal. Like, you've aged 10,000 years. Oh, damn it! That's why he looks older, by the way, because he has aged. Like, he's aged incredibly slowly, but he has aged. All right then. I'd imagine 10k years of isolation has done a number on the Emperor too. Yeah, that's it's not going to be a fun time. And when one of the Drukhari homunculi saw the Golden Throne and what it was doing to the Emperor, they did nothing but admire the Imperium for inventing a device that would sustain someone in such torment for so long, and then built their own. I think they also wanted to clone the Emperor, but I think the Imperium managed to stop them before they did. So yeah, definitely that's not going to be good for the isolation alone would be bad enough. Never mind the experience of it. Yeah. But yeah, okay. So I'll let you have any final thoughts you want, Lewis.
Final thoughts.
Final thoughts. Yeah, that's. I
think I'm good.
You think you're good? Okay. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Thank you, Loomis, for joining me as always.
Thank you for having me here.
Oh, no problem. Always a pleasure. Thank you, B-Rat, for keeping us coming in. Thank you, Miki, as well. Lovely to see you. I know you've gone by now, but it was lovely to see you. So yeah, that'll be it for today. I'll be back on Sunday at around 1800 BST for more painting. We're painting the Battle Predator. And then we'll be back a week today around 2000 BST for more Minecraft. Will you be joining me, Limus?
It should be.
Excellent. Alright, I'll let you say final goodbyes and then we'll go.
Yeah. Have a good time zone, everybody. It's been good.
Alright. See you. Thanks again, Limus. Thanks again, everybody. Hope you've enjoyed that. It's been a lot of fun. It's been a fun stream. Night beer at. And I hope to see you all soon. Until then, take care and namarie.